Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin are heading into the most anticipated football season since probably 2003 when Eli Manning announced he was returning for his senior season. But the Rebels ended up tying for the SEC West that year, won a Cotton Bowl over Oklahoma State, I do believe, the Fighting Leslie Edmund Miles and the Cowboys. But even that season, Ole Miss fans can admit, didn't have the juice or feel that. They didn't have national championship expectations going into it or playoff expectations. That had, hey, let's finish in the top half of the West. Different times, different era, but still, this is probably the most anticipated Ole Miss season when you factor in technology, social media, all of it is, even going back to the Johnny Vaught days there in the 60s. But the administration and program are aligned from top to bottom, and many are expecting that 2024 is going to be the year of the Rebel. But with that being said, I'm here to give you the three biggest what-ifs for the Ole Miss Rebels heading into 2024. Welcome to the SEC Unfiltered channel. I'm your host, Dave Shumate, longtime college football personnel guy, worked in multiple recruiting departments across the conference, 7 years to be exact. But before we get to that segment, we have to pay some bills, guys. We got to pay some bills. And, guys, if you're going to games, I've mentioned it all the time in all our videos. If you're going to go to games, use our guy SeatGeek. Major League Baseball is going on. I've used it many a times for the Braves since I moved to Atlanta. College football is coming up. Use them as well. But go to SeatGeek.com and use code SECU for $20 off your first purchase, guys. I can't rave about these guys enough. Give the Geeks a call. Or go online and visit them. But use SECU, that promo code, for $20 off your first purchase. But, guys, like I mentioned, three biggest what-ifs for the Ole Miss Rebels heading in to 2024. Gotta say, guys, there's three of them. Here we go. What if? I think people in Oxford have discussed this probably amongst the square, over their meat and two, over at Ajax, over a beverage at the grocery. Maybe you're trying the chicken fajita salad over at Proud Larry's, which I loved. But they've discussed this, and that's what if Jackson Dart is in New York come mid-December? If you don't know what I'm talking about, the Heisman Trophy ceremony is December 15th, I do believe. I'd have to look at the calendar exactly, but it's right around there. And for the people hoping for the Ole Miss Rebel demise, I'm here to tell you that this is a real possibility, in my opinion. This is a real possibility when you really break down the Rebel offense. I went back and watched the Georgia game, Alabama, and Penn State game, and the LSU game from last year. I like to do 4 games. Watch the 4 better ones. A game he potentially struggled with. Granted, I think some of that was the line of scrimmage, offensive line play. Even Lane Kiffin admitted against Georgia. But I think Jackson Dart, third year in the program, takes that next step. I think he takes that next step. I mean, first, the Rebs have more depth than they've had in Jackson Dart's time going back to 2022. Probably even his entire career going back to his freshman year at USC. Depth there on the offensive line. Depth there for sure. I mean, I'm looking at it right here. We had Diego Pounds, the transfer from North Carolina. He's going to be in there as well. Nate Kalepo, transfer from Washington, also as well. I mean, you got guys like I'm looking at it right here, Jeremy James, who has played, I think, every position on the offensive line outside center. That guy's fighting for a starting spot, guys. There's depth. Jaden Williams, he got hurt in the Georgia game last night. Jaden Williams got hurt in the Georgia game last night for Ole Miss. That guy's fighting for a spot. Reese McIntyre's played across the line of scrimmage. Julius Below, the other Washington transfer. Ole Miss has brought in a lot of guys. There is depth on the line of scrimmage, and you win a lot of football games, especially in this league, when you have depth on both sides of the line of scrimmage, specifically here, the offensive line. Depth at the wide receiver spot. Trey Harris, big body receiver. You watch 9, and he just flashes. They have the breakaway speed, but the guy's going to make the initial tackle miss. You like him. Juice Wells, if he can stay healthy, the South Carolina transfer. And I think one of the more underrated guys in the SEC here, Jordan Watkins. He's returning, but he doesn't get enough love. He really doesn't there. Deion Smith, the freshman, the junior, he could step up. Deion Smith, the transfer as well. You could have a couple guys here. I like the depth that the receivers had. You throw in the tight ends as well. Caden Priestcorn, another threat. That's another threat there. Then my guy, Daquan Wright from Virginia Tech, loved him out of the portal. I think he could be a sneaky guy. Him and Jordan Watkins could be key to this offense. I'm telling you, there's depth across this. There is depth. The weapons are there. Jackson Dart is in his 3rd year in the system with Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss Jr. I'm expecting even more improvement from Dart's 2023 year, in which he threw for over 3,000 yards, 65% completion percentage, and 23 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. I think Dart gets closer to that 4,000 range. Don't be shocked if Ole Miss is in the playoffs, finish in the top 3 of the SEC, maybe not play in Atlanta for the SEC championship, but people will love that 3 spot in the SEC. Hosting a home game, maybe get about – there's a good chance Jackson Dart's in there. He's in New York, I'm telling you. Second, what if for the Ole Miss 2024 season? Rebel fans, don't turn me off now, but what if Ole Miss's defense just underperforms? We had to talk a little bit about something negative, and we're realistic on the SEC Unfiltered. We're not going to carry anyone's water. We're not going to overhype you. We're going to call a spade a spade. If you're underperforming, we're going to call it out. Don't take it personally. If you're playing well, and I love Ole Miss, go check out the CFP Focus preseason magazine we put together. The guys over there did. We got mentioned by Josh Pate today, and Jim Nagy, who runs the Senior Bowl, mentioned they've used it in their scouting approach. So I love that. We're honest, though. We're honest in that magazine. We're honest here at SEC Unfiltered. It is what it is. Look, I'm as high on anybody. And my point being with the CFP Focus, I had Ole Miss finishing 3rd in the SEC, so I'm high on Ole Miss. But this is in the back of your mind. I'm as high as anyone on Ole Miss. I think Lane Kiffin's one of the best play callers in the country, if not the best. But we have to have this conversation. Again, not saying this is going to happen. This is a what if. This isn't a bold prediction. This is what if. But what if I were to tell you Ole Miss didn't live up to expectations in 2024? You would have to assume that's because of Pete Golden and his crew on defense. You would have to, right? Because I trust Lane Kiffin, trust Charlie Wise. I just mentioned I think Jackson Dart's going to be in New York for the Heisman ceremony if he doesn't get hurt. Hopefully not. You would think Ole Miss underachieves this year, underperforms because the defense didn't show up. Now, again, this is going to come down to injuries for Pete Golden's unit. I know that's obvious, and you can say that about every team in the country. And it's honestly a compliment to the job Lane Kiffin and the staff had done with this roster. But what if guys, what if guys like Trey Amos, the corner transfer from Alabama, who when he played at Alabama, when either Kool-Aid McKinstry or Terrion Arnold were out, played well? I think Alabama would love to have him right now. Isaiah Hamilton, the transfer from Houston, what if he hopefully doesn't get hurt, but again, what if he's hurt? What if he doesn't live up to that expectations? Brandon Turnage, the Oxford native, coming back home, transfer from Tennessee. What if he doesn't live up to the safety spot? Lawrence Key, the Oklahoma transfer. Yam Banks, who I love. It sounds like a total corner, doesn't it? It sounds like a DB right there, right? Yam Banks, transfer from South Alabama. What if he doesn't? Then on the line of scrimmage, I told you it's a line of scrimmage league, and you know that. You wouldn't be listening to this. Chris Hardy, the defensive end, undersized, twitchy guy. I think he could be a big sack impact guy here for the Rebs in 24. Transfer from Jack State. They got it late. But what if he doesn't pan out? What if those guys just don't pan out? Crazier things have happened in this sport, right? That probably means Ole Miss is probably a little closer to the bubble playoff team. And going into places like Baton Rouge will be even a taller task than it already is. Which leads me to my last what if. What if Ole Miss wins in Baton Rouge in Tiger Stadium on October 12th? Let me repeat that. What if Ole Miss wins in Baton Rouge, which would be Tiger Stadium, on October 12th? I think that would mean, just like Missouri, that I'm not bringing Missouri in this, but I think they're in that same pool of teams, Ole Miss and Missouri, where the schedules break their way. There's no easy schedule in the SEC. Hear me out, people. There's manageable, more manageable schedules. I think Missouri and Ole Miss, and I did my last what if on Missouri, 3 what ifs for Missouri. I mentioned if they won the A&M game at Kyle Field in the playoffs. I feel the same way about the Rebs. Let me share the schedule with you, people. Let me share the schedule. Open up with Furman, Middle Tennessee State at Wake. They're going undefeated. You can throw in Georgia Southern as well, 4-0 non-con. Again, I love the schedule for us. Kentucky at home. I think Kentucky's going to be improved on 8-9, but at Vaught-Hemingway Stadium to open up conference play, I like Ole Miss there. At South Carolina, a little bit of a trap game, but I think Ole Miss is going to be better than South Carolina. Until I see South Carolina's improvement on the offensive line play, I can't go with them. I think Ole Miss is going to be good up front. So it's a bad matchup. It's on the road. It's the week before the game I'm talking about. Remember, October 12th, folks. I mentioned it, October 12th. If Ole Miss wins this game, they are now 7-0 heading into bye week. Host Oklahoma, at Arkansas, host Georgia, off at Florida, and host Mississippi State, which is now moved to Black Friday, unfortunately. Host Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl to close the year. They would have to lose 3 out of those last, 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. There's no way. 3 to miss the playoffs. I'm not talking about the SEC championship or being in Atlanta playing it. No. They have to lose 3. Oklahoma, maybe. Oklahoma's one of those teams, though, they're going to make or break some team schedules from a strength of schedule standpoint. They could be either really good or they could be, they're breaking in 5 new starters in the offensive line. At Arkansas, a place Ole Miss has struggled. Just 2 years ago, Ole Miss just went and got one of their bigger beatdowns I could remember. Granted, they had just lost to Alabama the week before. Season was kind of down the drain. Whatever. Ole Miss will be much more motivated to play that game this year, so I'm not worried about it. Just saying, Razorback Stadium's been a tough place for the Rebs. Georgia, let's just say they lose that. That's one. At Florida, we don't know what Billy Napier and the boys are doing at that point, but I still like Ole Miss. And remember, I've mentioned, I think Lane Kiffin likes to interview, at least entertain these other jobs. He's not trying to go get embarrassed at a place that could potentially call. Maybe he goes or gets another pay raise from. And then Mississippi State, I think this year is just first year for Jeff Lebby. They're not going to go win that game in Vaught-Hemingway Stadium. No offense to any Mississippi State fans. Listen, that's a manageable schedule, folks. It's a manageable schedule. So if they beat LSU on October 12th, and I think Ole Miss is just better than LSU this year on paper. I think they are. I'm not going to talk about LSU much. I just think they are. I'm just going to say it because we're talking about Ole Miss. They'd have to lose. They'll be 7-0 bye week. They'd have to lose 3 out of their last 5. Go 2-3, and they have 1, 2, 3 home games, only 2 road games. And I think it's going to be 2 manageable road games. Ole Miss is in the playoffs, folks. Ole Miss is in the playoff, folks, if they win on October 12th at LSU at Tiger Stadium. I mean, it's the truth. I think that's just what it is. I think them and Missouri have a very manageable schedule. So again, guys, my 3 biggest what-ifs of the 2024 season for the Ole Miss Rebels. First, what if Jackson Dart is in New York come mid-December? It's likely. Second, what if the Ole Miss defense doesn't live up to expectations, underperforms, has injuries? I mean, Princely U already going to be out with a shoulder injury early. Maybe it's Chris Hardy's time to step up. And then third, what if Ole Miss wins in Baton Rouge on October 12th? They're in the playoffs then. They're not losing 3 out of their last 5, with 3 being at home, 2 on the road. But that'll do it for me, guys. I appreciate you joining us on this segment. I appreciate you tuning in. Remember to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell as you do not want to miss any of the content we have coming at you here from the SEC Unfiltered platform. Until next time, guys, I'm Dave Shumate. Let's have a day.